Welcome to UFO Buster Radio's Halloween special.
God, making my voice like a demon is so hard.
Cue the music.
So if you can't tell, this show is a bit Halloweenish because I am doing everything I can possible to publish this on October 31st and make sure I get enough people listening to it. It's my special treat to you. Or is it a trick? I don't know what it is, but however, this demon voice keeps coming
in and out.
It might happen throughout the podcast. I'm not really sure what it is. And someone said to me, oh, maybe you should do the podcast in the demon voice from beginning to end.
Let's not and say we did.
So this podcast is going to be about sightings that occurred on October 31st, good old Halloween. And for those of you in other countries, it is Halloween in the U.S. Everybody goes trick-or-treating, sucking up people, strangers for candy. And there's usually some really bad horror stories that come out of this. But, hey, trick-or-treat. But before I get started, I want to remind you guys the rubber dickies are on the way, full force. And I'm hoping that by the middle of November, I'll have an official picture of the rubber dickie that's going to be given away to the winner. If you haven't voted yet, get your behinds over to UFOBusterRadio.com. Look for the survey or the poll. Select up to 3 rubber dickers of the year. But only one is going to win, and you'll be able to see if your chosen rubber dicker is in the lead or not as of the date that you vote. You can only vote once, so don't get all greedy about it, people, but let your voice be heard nonetheless. So for the podcast today, what we have is 4 Halloween Day sightings, which were actually examined through Project Blue Book. As a matter of fact, we have to say that name using the demon voice.
Project Blue Book.
Because they rubber dicked us just like everyone else does when it comes to this ufology business. So we'll get full stories out the way. Now this came from a blog called Full 3 Blog. There are some other stories on there, but if you want more specific stuff and images and pictures that are associated with these 4 stories, check out the link in the description and give them a visit. So the first story we have comes out of Massapequa Park, New York. The incident occurred Halloween night of 1957 around 8:30 p.m. According to this, there was an extremely bright object falling through the sky at a very high rate of speed. The witness for this particular story, which ended up in
Project Blue Book,
was a former pilot and FBI agent. I mean, come on, this is a credible witness, right? Isn't this what people kept talking about, that you needed someone credible that knew what the hell they were talking about? Well, here he is. The guy is a former pilot and an FBI agent, and basically, he saw this object on Halloween night. Immediately, he ruled out the fact that this could be a meteor. The reason why he ruled it out is because he says that the object was moving in a flat trajectory. It wasn't going on a curve. It wasn't coming down towards the planet, towards the surface. It was going from point A to point B, straight line, no curvature at all. So he didn't know what to do. He's like, who am I going to report this to? So apparently he decided that he was going to report it to the Air Force. Now again, this is 1957. So, rubber dicking is in full mode here. I don't think they're going to take him too seriously. So anyway, he decided to report it to the Air Force, but instinctually, he knew that probably nothing's going to come of it. It's going to go nowhere. But he figured, let me just go ahead and do it. and see what happens. Maybe there's a possibility that they'll take him seriously, and I bet you he was taking into consideration the fact that he isn't no Joe Schmo. He's not like Johnny Come Lately. He is someone that would deal with these kind of things. So his sighting ended up in
Project Blue Book,
and the Air Force actually did an analysis on his little story, his sighting, his incident, and they deemed it that he was a rubber dicker and he was 4.2 far, and that what he saw was really a meteor. How does that happen? How does a guy who's a pilot, FBI agent, how could he not know that what he's looking at is a meteor? It was Halloween night. Maybe he thought it was a witch, or a ghost, or a demon.
No, it wasn't me.
But apparently it was nothing more than a regular old meteor. 4.2 far.
Project Blue Book,
4.2 far. The next story out of
Project Blue Book,
Halloween UFO madness is from Williston, Florida, and it occurred in 1955. In this particular story, again, we have a credible witness. This time it was a policeman. This policeman, while he's out on the beat, checking out all the Halloween madness, the costumes, probably taking candy from kids because he can, he spotted multiple round objects in loose formation in the night sky. So this isn't just one or two. There were multiple sightings of objects by this policeman in the night sky. And according to him, they made no noise. Silent. 1955, Florida. But he says the lights on these objects were so bright that they actually hurt his eyes when he was looking at them. Now either those damn things were extremely bright, or he has really great freaking vision, because I don't see how he could be hurt by the light coming from these objects, but yet not be able to tell exactly what the shape of these objects are. But I digress. Let me just continue. So he's got sight problems. These lights are too bright, but it's a bunch of them in a loose formation, but they're all flying in the same direction. But he wasn't the only one who reported these objects flying around in the skies of Florida in 1955, because apparently there were other witnesses that night, that faithful Halloween night, that had similar reports. Thanks to
Project Blue Book,
the issue that all these dingbats saw, because apparently not even the cop knew about this, but apparently there was an aircraft refueling operation happening at that very moment. A bunch of round objects were all refueling at the same time over the city of Williston, Florida. How is that an official story for this? I don't get it. The only bad thing about the story is that it really doesn't tell us how many lights he saw. Because if he was looking at like 3 dozen lights, we've got a problem, people. Somebody screwed the pooch on that one. And again, it's more rubber dicking by
Project Blue Book.
But we don't have that in the story. But I'm sure if you're feeling froggy, you can find it.
This is Mr. Wong from the Day in the Morning Show. Hey, you guys see Missy Wong? She see lots of light, so she go check on chicken. Now she gone. I guess she flew the coop. I gotta go. See ya. Bye-bye.
All right, so the next story in our Halloween
Project Blue Book madness.
This one occurred in South Charleston, Ohio in 1964. We have photographic evidence in this one because it just happens to be that the witness was a freelance photographer, and he submitted photos of multiple UFOs near a tree. According to him, he claimed that the strange objects on the film were not visible to the naked eye, and there was no sound that was to be heard when these pictures were taken. Now keep in mind, he actually used a Polaroid camera, and if you don't know what those are those cameras of back in the day where you snap the picture and you wait a few minutes and it poops out, it just shits out the picture. You have to shake it a little bit, let it get dry, and shake it around, you flap it, you shake it like a Polaroid picture. You remember that song? Anyway, so you shake it until the image shows up, bada bing. There could be something wrong with his camera, but I'm sure that the fantastic people that dealt with the studies under
Project Blue Book
were kind enough to, take that camera away from him and test it out anyway and see what they came up with. So the official explanation for this is that most likely the cause of the UFOs in the photo was a light bulb and reflector taken at multiple exposures. And you know what? We see this a lot with UFO pictures, especially when they're at night, where you get this kind of overexposure coming in from really bright light sources. It almost causes like a stereo image of that light source to give you what looks to be an anomaly, basically. So this is what happened to him. He got rubber dick too. They pretty much say, we really don't know what's going on. Shit happens. Sorry, bub. Your Polaroid camera probably sucks, and you're not really a good photographer.
Ha 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 ha, not a good photographer.
Okay, for the last story for today on this Halloween night while you're out there doing your thang, getting your candy and treats and tricks or whatever you do. This one is coming from West Hyattsville, Maryland. It is 1966 Halloween. And a boy, 15 years old, also submits a picture from a Polaroid photo of several grayish solid objects with 2 red lights and 2 blue lights. That almost sounds like a cop car to me, but what can you do? We just gotta roll with it, right? The objects were again taken against a night sky. The boy declared this was not a prank, and he made sure that everybody knew that he's not that type of guy. He was being straight up. This was a UFO. Okay, let me just read the description again. Grayish solid object with 2 red lights and 2 blue lights. I mean, how can you mistake that for anything else? That's a UFO, baby. You can take that to the bank. Well, it turns out that even though he proclaimed that this was not a prank, the official explanation from the folks at
Project Blue Book
was that they considered it to be insufficient data for evaluation, and that the photo was deemed as insufficient in clarity. In other words, they couldn't tell what the hell was in the pictures. And just as a treat for you, if you go to this website, the blog folder 3, whatchamacallit, if you go in there, there is the picture that was included in
Project Blue Book.
And you can take a look at it. I mean, I'm looking at it and I say, they got that shit right. I can't tell what the hell this is. I could barely tell that there was anything near that freaking blob of whatever that was. I'm sorry, kid. You had too much candy that night, and you were probably all jazzed up on squirrel nuts. Sorry. No go. I kind of go with
Project Blue Book
on this one. That kid tried to rubber dick them. Totally. Well, listen, if you're a fan of the podcast or just started listening, the best way to support us is to subscribe, share, talk about it. Let's get in here. Yeah, we take it on the lighter side of things. We're not going to probe you with scientific discussion, and we're not going to probe you with all this, it's got to be a UFO from 4.2 far, or my name isn't
Manny Moonraker.
So listen, share it, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and don't forget to visit UBR Truth Seekers. It is the group on Facebook, and you can meet famous people that have been on this podcast. But I'm not going to tell you who they are because you got to join. So check it out. The link is in the description to all these things I just talked about. Have a happy Halloween. And if it turns out to be November 1st, I hope you had a good one anyway. And don't be hopped up on squirrel nuts like that 15-year-old. It's bad for your image. This is Manny Moonraker. I'm signing off. Until next time.
Ciao.
Ha 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 ha!